Let's see. Hold on, let me make sure I got everything right. Yeah, this works. Today is January 16th. It is 2024, and I am currently working on the graphic novel. Oh, I'm not showing you guys my screen. Come on, you gotta show the screen so that people can see. That's the whole point. It is 2024, and I am working on the graphic novel currently titled Science is Bad. I'm glad I used to say currently titled because I am actually considering another title for the book, and we'll see what happens. But we got to get through this one, right? Let's see. A little bit of chatter, I suppose, I could open up with. Or why even bother opening up with anything like that? I asked people on Instagram if they wanted me to draw anything in particular, and let's take a look at those requests. I have not looked at them yet. My social media hasn't been very active in the last couple years, really. So we have a yellow submarine. It's kind of a generic question. I don't do color very often, so I thought that was interesting. And then we have, okay, John F. Kennedy. That's kind of interesting. I don't really, I guess I could do Kennedy. Then I have lambus bread. That's funny. Well, it actually says banana bread, but I'm going to pretend it says lambus bread because that's funnier to me. And what do we have here? Draw Logan Paul. I will not be doing that. I like that people want me to do portraits. That's pretty cool. I could do portraits, but I need references for portraits. I guess I could kind of work it out, but I think if I did a portrait, I would probably have to do closer to a caricature. My drawing skills are not at that level at the moment. They have been before, though. That's the funny thing. There we got here. And then we got, ooh, chunky cat. I believe I shall be drawing a chunky cat then. That's a good request. Now, I like to draw in gray because the white's hard on my eyes. Now, and I think I could lighten up the white, but this drawing here of the owl god is kind of... So we'll get to the chunky cat. All right, that's the one we're going to do. We're going to do the chunky cat. That's a good request. Let's see what we have here. Okay. So today is the second coldest day of the year, and it is only 16 days into the year. Yesterday was about -12. Today hit a high of or a low rather, of -7, and it was a tough go. With my commute, I had to, deal with the Chicago city elements, which is, it's fine. Oh, I'm painting with gray. Don't want to do that. Actually, let's make sure we get the white on there. Let's swap it out. Okay. Drop this down. And here we go. All right, let's develop this guy a little bit more on this one side. And we are here and here. Coming down right here. It's like some sort of ribbon, some sort of decoration. Put some more detail on that. Maybe it's kind of got a three-dimensional element to it. I gotta remember that for a lot of these drawings, we're not doing a two-dimensional look. Even though all flat drawings are two-dimensional, I try to bring out some three-dimensional aspect of the drawing on this aspect of it. Aspect. So let's come in here, make some changes, come around here, fill this in. Ooh, maybe it's a bell, huh? And we come around here like this. And like this. And here we go, like this. Yes. Mm. A lot going on in my apartment in the sense that when the weather changes, it affects the environment. It's not that cold in my apartment. It's actually quite toasty. The radiators are really taking over. Let's see. And then we have this. And then maybe we come down with this. And we come in this way. Like this. Like this. Uh-oh, I'm going back into zoning out. You know what that means. I'm going to have to put on some music. I saw something that was like pixelated, I don't even know if that's the word, but like, you know, kind of like digified Lord of the Rings footage. Lord of the Rings. I saw a guy from my hometown today on Instagram, and he uploaded a video, and he's like, I don't expect it to do very well, which I kind of bummed out that, you know, he was posting that way, basically kind of like limiting expectations, or I don't know what it was, just kind of being like, hey, my failure isn't a bad thing. I'm just throwing things out there, which is, you know, kind of cool. But I think that the one thing that always really bothered me about where I came from in my hometown was that there seemed to be this aspect of really talented people who, you know, if I was able to really get them alone, you don't really get to know what people think unless you pull them away from the crowd generally. I mean, granted, if you're in my crowd, you could talk freely, but that's not how most crowds focus. And also, I'm a little reckless with my words sometimes. Like, I'm not very politically savvy with my words. I just kind of say what I want to say. And that comes with a price, you know. But in my opinion, you know, living your truth is worth it more than holding it in and trying to, you know, go through life worrying about what other people think. I think that when you're on your deathbed, you regret that approach. Oftentimes I find people who don't really have their own opinions and don't really have their own thoughts. They're just, especially in the current societal climate that the United States is in at the moment, everything is so polarized, and so people they just want to live their lives, I think, mostly. And I remember when I was a kid, a teenager even, coming out of high school in the early 2000s, people, if you ask them about politics or the war in the Middle East or something like that, a lot of people would say, oh, I'm not political. I don't really, that's not like my thing. So like that was their way of, you know, the government does what it wants. I'm just a person, yada, yada, yada. And I thought, what a cop out, you know, what a terrible way to approach things that are important in the world, you know, yada, yada. And now I'm looking back, and now I'm seeing these people who aren't really political people, but they talk as if they are, and they don't really know what's going on, but they care about the candidates, which is, you know, it's something. But it makes me wonder what Washington's perspective is on the citizens. They have to know that we have a short memory. They have to look at us and think, well, you know, they'll be over this soon. So there's no reason to get too caught up in this current political climate. Or it might be one of those things where they don't do anything that really makes any significant changes within the party near election time. You know, you ever notice that the government kind of doesn't do much? The federal government, rather. I think that's by design. I think that's really what they're supposed to do. I think the complacency of the government is an aspect of it functioning the way it's planned to. Not to get too into that stuff, but anyway, I was talking to a guy from my hometown, and yes, I'm that guy talking about his hometown, you know. But I was really bummed out. His approach was like, I'm just kind of throwing this video up. I don't expect anything. And I sent him a message. I probably haven't talked to him in, God, so long. I think I send him messages on social media occasionally. I like this kid. I liked his brother. I grew up with his brother. And I really don't know where his brother's up to nowadays. But his brother's a really sweet guy. And the guy I'm talking about, he's a really great bass player. When we were in high school, and he was just always like a really cool guy. Both of those kids, they were really well adjusted socially. Not my brother and I. No way, Jose. My brother was the kind of guy who he was nice enough. He was probably a little more, I don't know, I was more social than he was. I was more like, yeah, I think I was fine, but also like you kind of borrow from your family. Oh, actually, you take from your family in many cases, and then you just run with that for the rest of your life. I think most people are living that way. I had a conversation with someone about this not too long ago. I was saying that I believe that most people are within just a few miles of the place they were born, like literally wherever that event happened. And I think that that's pretty much the entirety of humanity, is people just kind of conveniently existing while trying to limit the amount of suffering that they do. Suffering being a long commute, suffering being, an adjustment, suffering being, missing your family. I mean, it's all different. It's all from different perspectives. But some people, they're born and they love their family and they live in this hut, or whatever, and they got everything they would ever need, or everything that they think that they could ever need. Then you have someone living in a metropolis like I look at it, and from my perspective, I just don't want that for my life. And so I kind of project that onto other people, and that's wrong. Who am I to say what the right thing to do is? Living in a crime-ridden city that's got giant buildings in it. Whoa, look at what I did, But I will say probably I will have had significantly more success in this environment had I stayed in my original position, because I tried to make it work there, and it's tough. Just not a lot of resources, not a lot of support. Not that there's a ton of support here, but there are a lot of resources here. And also I think that, I don't know, it's tough. When I moved to Chicago, I went to college and I started from scratch, like all the way from scratch. I didn't do one of those things where I was like trying to test in the best classes I could or anything like that. I said, you know what? I was not great about math in school. Like I did okay. I was middle of the road kind of student, but I always considered myself a creative and thought, I don't need math. And in this society, math doesn't hurt. None of the STEM hurts at all. You can find ways to apply it to your life. You can overindulge where it's masturbatorial, but there's nothing wrong with continuous learning. It makes you richer. So when I moved to Chicago, I went to city colleges because it was very affordable. And if you're a full-time student, you get this thing. The city of Chicago gifts all full-time students in the city of Chicago this thing called the U-Pass. Now, at the time, I was struggling to maintain my automobile. Keeping up with maintenance and traveling around the Midwest and things like that was just, the cost was getting overwhelming. So I was trying to consider a city where I wouldn't need a car. So the first one I thought, I'll go to Denver, right? Like that'll be cool, a medium-sized city. I can be a creative there, develop my skills there, probably socialize. It could be a good life. And then I went to Denver, and they have this thing called the light rail. It's like a little trolley on a cable. It was more novel than anything. It existed, but it was not a fundamental purpose of commuting. People may use it as scheduled, but it was just nothing on the scale that the city of Chicago has here. Chicago's transit is incredibly well run. There have been times that the train stopped. So I take the train. It's called the L, which is the elevated train. That's the reason why it's called that. Because the train is elevated off the ground. And it was built about 100 years ago. So you got to think, the tools that I'm using were built by ancestors from over 100 years ago. Like, I think they built the train in like 1890s or something. And, they built it so well with such robust steel and stuff like that, that it's maintained itself quite well. And even in the short time that I've lived here in the city, they've made significant investments into the train and improved the stations and made them larger and giving them heating spaces and a lot of LED lights and a lot more platform space. And it's really brilliant. There was a train that I used to take when I went to city colleges. Well, I guess I could finish up my story about why I decided to go to Chicago. Well, I decided to go to Chicago because no matter what school I went to, if I was full-time, I could ride any transit for free. So that meant that I could go without a car, because in the city of Chicago, every single street has buses running. The city of Chicago burnt down in 1871 or something like that. And there was a great fire. It was called the Chicago Fire. And so when things like that happen, generally people leave. There's an exodus. But not Chicago. They were able to keep a large portion of their population, and they rebuilt. And when they rebuilt with all the infrastructure. Fire took away the infrastructure, huh? With all of the engineers and resources that they had, they said, well, if we're going to do it again, let's do it better. And they sure as hell did. They built it in a grid. And with that grid, they gave every street alleyways, which is the reason why Chicago looks a lot cleaner than New York. New York doesn't have those alleyways, because a lot of these cities, whatever city you're in America, there's a really good chance that the growth of the city happened organically, which is, how it goes, right? Specifically in America, where, this road comes out here, this road goes and connects to this, and this road comes out here, and it just kind of goes everywhere, and there's really no sense of direction outside of just memorizing things. But in the city of Chicago, everything's in a grid. So every single street, at least in the areas that I've lived with in the city, have a bus coming on both directions. So if your street's going north and south, you got buses going north and south, and they come every few minutes. I mean, it's uncanny. I'm not even a big bus guy. I like just taking the train. I just memorize the train and do that. But I was able to take the train for free, and I was able to go to Chicago city colleges for a very affordable price. And I started my life that way in Chicago. And I will say, in comparison to my hometown, the city of Chicago, the people here just have much higher standards. The culture is just everyone, it's not New York where, I assume everyone kind of looks at the biggest of the big and they celebrate capitalism and stuff. And Chicago, I wouldn't necessarily, it is definitely capitalistic, but I think that the working class and things like that kind of have more of a socialist perspective on society, which is one of the things that causes a lot of issues during political times, because lots of parts of this country don't want to change the economic system, so that causes a lot of issues. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to my conversation with my buddy on Instagram. And so I told him, I said, hey man, you can if you're really passionate about this YouTube stuff, it could be done. I mean, it's going to be a lot of work or whatever, and it's going to take some time, but that you can do it. And he basically was like, no, there's an influencer bubble. This is all about to bust. It's pointless. No one can grow. And what's so funny? I remember people saying that before I moved to Chicago in 2013. I remember people in 2013 saying, YouTube is like, there's no space anymore. The opportunity's gone. And it's like, well, it may be true to some extent, but also a lot of people who have a lot of success generally will stop. This isn't too bad. This actually is starting to look like some bear skin, huh? I kind of want to put a highlight in it, but I don't know if that's appropriate. So for now, I'm just going to keep following this. Don't let these general ideas go. Now, I remember talking to someone maybe a couple summers ago about NFTs, and the guy says, I think we missed the wave. And I go, I don't know, man. Well, he was right. because NFTs just ended up kind of being just a major scam of embezzlement, ways to hide money, and that's what people do in the art world. And I kind of got my eyes open to that aspect of like how art can be used to hoard wealth and avoid taxes and a multitude of other things. But that's for a different stream, huh? My point is, if you have something you want to do and you're really truly passionate about it, right? Maybe he's just passionate enough to put one video out. You know, maybe that one post was it for him, where he's like, hey, you know, I'm going to put this out here. But I just felt it in him that he this defeatist perspective. And he literally said, I work a lot and I know that that's how I'm going to make the majority of my money. And he basically just counted this idea out. And so it's like, you know, hey, listen, just let the guy put the video out. And, you know, he seems to be fine with it. You know, you should just let people be. I mean, if anything, I feel like I'm trying to give advice to him, but maybe I should just give advice to myself. Like, let people just be. You know, quit trying to convert people to whatever's going on in your head. I don't know, man. There's just something in me. It just eats away at me. If I believe something strongly, I wanna proselytize. It's probably a waste of time. I mean, it's not like he's gonna be like, whoa, good point. But you know what I did say to him? I said, hey man, he's like, I just think our perspectives are different. Because he was basically saying like he knows the system from this perspective, and I just think you're thinking of things differently than I am. But then I hit him with 100% our perspectives are different. But remember, we started in the same neighborhood. And then he liked my comment or my message, which is, I think, is, you know, it's not bad. It's about as, it's not like, yeah, like what did I expect was going to happen? The guy was going to be like, whoa, what? I'm quitting my job right now. Hold on, I'm paging my boss. I'm calling him on his pager to tell him that I am done with this. I am so done with this. Nah, man. I actually saw the Nielsen report. YouTube actually, people are streaming YouTube more than any other platform. And when I told him that, he said, yeah, people like to stream music on YouTube. I'm not surprised. And it's like, bro, you're missing the point. You're missing the point of what I'm saying, man. Like, Nielsen says that, which means that more money is going to go to YouTube, which means that more influencers are going to get paid. You're wrong. You know, but he doesn't, I don't know. I'd have to talk to him in person. And even if I did, it just would be one of these things where he would be in his mind thinking, I don't know what he would be thinking. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's draw this chunky cat. Chunky cat time. Chunky cat time. I actually like this. What I did here. Let's see what it looks like all black. Yeah, not bad. It doesn't hurt to have different grades, but I always try to do the black and white though. All right, chunky cat time. All right, let's draw this chunky cat. All right. Ugh. Maybe he's like, I'm a Chucky Key. I'm a Chucky Key. What do you know about that? What do you know about being a Chucky Key? I'm a Chucky Key. Maybe he's got a big chunk. I'm a Chucky Key. And then make his limbs like, bleh. And then put one of these legs like this. You know, a cat's got this thing going on. It's almost like a little Pikachu. Chunky Key. Let's use some Photoshop magic. Wham! Chunky key. Yeah. Don't know what's gonna happen with the chunky key. Chunky key. Yeah. Wonder if we can get... This is an interesting one. All right, I'm deleting this. New chunky key. I have to zoom in. I'm gonna do a chunky grumpy key. Chunky key all the way. I mean, really, if you really have a chunky key, don't forget to feed your chunky key. The biggest mistake you could make is not feed your chunky key. Make his ears little because he's so chunky. It's chunky key like this. Do a chunky key like that. Do that chunky key like that. I want a chunky kitty so bad. I've been scouting a cat though. I've been scouting a Kiki. There's a chance I might pull the trigger on a Kiki this weekend. Which is really nice. I only work a 4-day work week, which I negotiated at my job. My job is a creative director at a toy company, which I cannot say which company. But when I was negotiating everything, I was like, listen, I can only do 4 days a week because I need to work on my stuff. That's a chunky key if I ever see one. And I'll say, duh. Meow. Meh. Yeah, see, he says a couple things. Yeah, let's pull it in a little bit. I'm not going to do the full fur of the chunky kitty because I have to work on the book, but we can solidify this for our... There he is. He's a chunky key. He's a chunky key, be a chunky key. You know, this chunky key, he don't even key. He don't care he's a chunky key. He don't frickin' key. He's a grumpy chunky key. I'm grumpy. Yeah, I'm chunky. Yeah, I look out the window and I try to talk to birds. I try to be talking to friggin' birds. I don't even key. I'll be talking to the birds. No. Maybe give him some stripes here. Like his toes barely come out. Ugh. I'm watching out the window. Ugh. It's kind of interesting. Now with AI making whatever you ask for, asking someone to draw something for you is really not the thing it used to be. For thousands of years. I once had a friend who was very old, and I'm very thankful for that friend because we live in a time now where if young people become friends with old people, it's considered creepy because everyone assumes that everyone's trying to have sex with each other, which is freaking weird. I think it's actually the assumption that everyone's trying to do that is kind of weird, but also I understand it's a counterbalance to all these years of not paying attention to things like that, and then awful things happening to kids. And so, all right, I'll take the bow. But it also means that good things can happen, though, in certain relationships. So, but anyway, what was I saying? What was Charlie? Oh, no. I remember. So I had my friend Charlie. He died a couple years ago. He was 86 years old. And he told me a story about one of his aunts. So he remember. The cool thing is that he can remember things when he was little, like back in the 30s. And he said that he had an aunt who would not use the telephone because she was convinced that it was the work of the devil. She did not believe that you could do that. That you could just talk to someone from far away. Also, his mom didn't believe that they landed on the moon. She'd be popular today. Well, I don't know if that's popular, but people are saying ish like that. I actually heard this conspiracy in the comic book shop that Stephen Hawking was never a real person, that he was actually a wax figure, and his whole agenda was to push the liberal agenda, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if Stephen Hawking was particularly liberal. He was wasn't he the predominant astrophysicist? So why would someone, it's just so weird. That would mean that the person one of the people who was behind faking Stephen Hawking's, they would have to be one of the most brilliant people. And if you know anything about academics, they are not trying to let other people have credit for the things that they do. I mean, credit is credit is what would you call it? The currency of academia. Academics, they want the credit for coming up with things. Like, the one thing that's really interesting about academia is, like, if you do come up with something brilliant and it stands the test, of the academic community, the trick would be to make a proclamation or hypotheses on something that no one's really paying attention to. That's actually something that I felt like was happening at my university a little bit. Whatever. But the other thing is like, I heard this quote where they were talking about the theory of relativity. They submitted to Einstein a statement from 100 professors saying that they think that it isn't a relevant theory. And he said, well, if they feel so confident about it, why do they need 100? If they were right, they would only need one, which is pretty good. Let's put some shadows on this Kiki. Give this Kiki a shadow. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is high level Kiki. That's what I would say, right? High level frickin' Kiki. Frickin' Kiki's high level as heck, bro. There we go. That's a good look at Keek. Maybe we come in here, clean this up a little bit. Not too bad, huh? Let's put this on a white background and we'll snag this and put this up. Let's make it big. Let's make it big. All right, and actually I feel like we need to add a little bit more detail to it before we let it out. Faces are really important. Whoops. Hitting them with the white. Don't want to do that. There we go. I mean, I have been drawing cats a lot lately, so it's probably the reason why this kind of worked out pretty well. There you go. this line. All right, and then let's bring everything all the way up. Snag this bad boy like so, and there we go. Kiki has been delivered. Let's hold on to this just in case it comes up. All right, and then where are we at here? Oh, we're 40 minutes in. You know how it used to be so difficult for me to get through these streams. I was like, I'm working my way up. And now they fly right by, and I actually feel like I don't have enough time. But the thing is once I get off of work, I go to the gym, and then I have to commute home, and then I have to eat something. So it's kind of amazing that I even find time to do this. I'm actually, you know what? Let's tackle this guy's fur coat. I'm gonna keep pushing on it. Ooh, I'm actually a little hot. Let's take this shirt off. And twist it around your head, kind of like a helicopter. I think that was Elton John who said that. Yeah, come in here. I'm just going to kind of repeat this because this is going to be the last. Well, I guess it can't be the last layer, huh? But as long as it kind of comes together the way that hair follicles grow, and also keep it relatively well groomed. I mean, why not? I almost feel like it'd be better to separate some of this layer, but I'm not going to do that. So here we are, we're getting in here. I almost feel like I should, I don't know. I'm going to spend a little bit more time thinking about the stream and how I can improve it.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Disconnected? Why?
Bluetooth connected.
What the heck's going on here?
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth connected.
Okay, cool. Anyway, one thing I wanted to do is a lot of these streams I've done without really talking very much, and I wanted to change that. And I'm doing a little bit better, being a little more talkative and filling in the air. And I'm going to keep that up, unless, of course, I hit one of them weed pens, and then I'll get into my own head, and I won't be able to communicate well. So I'm just going to have to keep away from that stuff, huh? That's the key to the success. I never asked the guy what he did for work. I just assumed that doing YouTube would be better than whatever he was doing. Yeah, you gotta think. Ooh, it's almost like there's a cowlick right here. I always thought it was a colic, but it's a cowlick. What a weird term, huh? Might be good to just start with a whole different layer over top. There was a guy yelling on the train today on the way home, and he was just yelling just nonsense, and it's just so cold today, and it was dark out, and it's just commuter time, and it's like, dude. And he was cracking open these Ice House beers. I think that's what they're called, Ice House. And I've seen him on the train before, that same route, and he does something similar. He rolls cigarettes and just talks to himself, but he's in conflict, so he's actually talking. I don't know if there's somebody. You know what's interesting too? A lot of people can deal with a traumatic event and never leave that event. Consistently keep coming back to that event. And oftentimes it's that you wish that you were strong enough to protect yourself, you know, if something happened to you, or you wish that it would have played out differently. And that can cause severe mental health issues. Trauma can really destroy somebody. You know, that's one thing I feel like if there's anything I've learned in, you know, as I approach 40, it's that not everybody's as strong as you are. And I know that, you know, I get kind of focused on people who are stronger than me. So I'm always trying to look up in a sense. But some people aren't as strong as you, and they need help, and they need empathy, and they need understanding, and they don't need to be trampled all over. And you'd be surprised what a little bit of kindness can do for a stranger, or how that can have a butterfly effect in the environment around you. You know, as much as being rude and crass and short, and, you know, especially like how do people treat each other on the road? It's absurd. I have a good friend who's one of the sweetest guys you'll ever know. Very kind guy, very intelligent. He doesn't flaunt his intelligence. He actually, you know, is pretty modest about it. And if you watch him, like if you're around for him while he drives, I mean, literally his cortisol is through the roof. It's absurd. I mean, he's just so stressed out from driving, and it bums me out because it's, you know, something that I figured out a long time ago from driving, which was that you don't have any control over these other people. So, or actually, you know what it was? My dad did me a solid. When I had my driver's permit, this is crazy. When I had my driver's permit, and you had to you had to get so many hours with a licensed driver. It was part of the ones that we had in Ohio. My dad took me out to drive, and as we pulled out and got onto the road of, you know, the street that I grew up on, he says, there is nothing wrong with being a defensive driver. And that really early on, also he was a man of few words, still is. But that really resonated with me, which was like, don't worry about it. You know, you can actually be that annoying person that causes my buddy to lose his mind when you go, oh, shoot, who is next at the stoplight? Or not stoplight, stop sign. Stoplight. You should know who's next. Things like that. Like, you know, it may be a pain in the ass, but it's not going to cause an accident. You know, being the defensive drivers are not the ones that cause the accidents all the time. I mean, sometimes in some sense they do. The highway is a hard one to say. Like, one of the big mistakes I made, I remember driving down to Texas, and I had no idea that you're not supposed to hang out in the left lane. It's the passing lane. Because, you know, I thought, you know, there's the shoulder, you know, there's speed limits, you know, whatever. So I thought I was fine. I thought I was completely good to go, but I was not. And some guy in a BMW SUV, back in those days, they didn't have a lot of those. So I was like, oh, wow, nice car. And he came by, and as he drove past me, he had a middle finger up in the window. And so I called my grandpa and go, this guy flipped me off, and I don't know why, you know. And he's like, huh. And we're kind of talking it out, and he basically goes, oh, are you driving in the left lane? I'm like, well, yeah. On cruise control. And remember, I'm the kid who got taught to be a defensive driver, so I'm not always I'm not trying to hit the highest or the fastest speeds. Now, as I got older, I did realize that driving, the being a defensive driver or being a safe driver actually does require you to drive at certain speeds. So it's like you're not actually safer by going slower. But yeah. Let's see. Ooh, I like that mixture between the black and the white, and having the white be used to, kind of pull out the highlights and stuff. I went to when I get off the train, I go to the grocery store and I pick up dinner and lunch for tomorrow. And I went to the grocery store and they asked me to check my book bag. Now here's the thing. My face is wrapped. I mean, I literally look like a member of ISIS or something. My face is wrapped up. I got a hat on. So there's just a small slit from my eyes. And I got so offended because I go into this grocery store every day. And I think she might have noticed afterwards, like, oh, wait, that's that one guy. Like, because they do recognize you from coming in all the time. They recognize me, rather. And, but I never was like, oh, it's okay or anything like that, which is kind of what was called for, which was for me to let everyone off the hook because, I'm just some guy with a mask on coming in with a book bag. And they're like, yeah, you're primed to steal. Because the only thing they can do for people who steal is have a picture of their face, and then they put the face up in a picture printout and say, hey, these people are not allowed in, they're thieves. And they try to humiliate them, which is, it's one formula for trying to keep people honest. All right. Yeah, I think I filled this in. All right, cool. I should probably come back in and highlight it, but for now, this works. Maybe I'll keep it this way. Not too bad. This guy's going to take a while. This is going to be a longer drawing, but there are a lot of other drawings that are like this. The Leicas. The lil Leicas. So let's pull out some Leicas. Let's pull out... I like this one. It kind of reminds me of that viral video of the singing. Beep, bop, beep, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep. It's really interesting what videos actually blow up on social media. I've been studying social media a lot because it's part of my job. And I've casually looked at social media. And don't get me wrong, I love YouTube. But I will say I've kind of got to this point where I've actually consumed all the content that I desire. I am actually over content for the most part. I mean, granted, if new things come out and they're great, I'd love to see them. Like, for example, that Cat Williams interview was fantastic, where he called all those people out. Man, that was awesome. And he's really, you know what the crazy thing is too? He is super funny. He's super talented. And so there's no real comeback to him. You can't be like, man, I mean, what are you going to do? Call him short? Well, that has nothing to do with comedy. So, you're capitulating the argument, which means that you actually technically lose the argument. What was that silly voice? I don't know. Beep, bop, beep, bop. That was me. Beep, bop, bop. But yeah, if you capitulate the argument, you lose the argument. So you lose that. Yeah, that's the noise that the Leicas make. Beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, bop, bop, bop. Capitulating the argument, it's over. So once someone insults you in an argument, you should let them know, like, hey, you lost the argument, right? My brother does that. He'll just talk shit, and it's so silly. He'll kind of insult you, or what he does is he deflects. I actually called him out over Thanksgiving, and he didn't get mad at me in the long run. He's been doing a lot of growing. I'm so proud of my brother. I'm so proud of my mom and my brother. Everyone's just been... When I come home, I just see people who are like, just kind of working on themselves and stuff. And I really like that. I was always worried that, we were going to be this tribe of people who don't try to improve themselves. And, you don't want to be too hard on people, right? Like, you got to still live your life. But I think, you should try to be a little bit better every day. Look at me drawing these beep-a-doop-a-doop-bops. Look how much this is improving my life by drawing these guys. Or maybe we'll go way up in the sky. I'm this kind of guy. Yeah. I really feel like this winter, it's just going to be me going to the gym and me at this tablet drawing. and really nothing else. I saw Shane Gillis is coming to Chicago. Really interested in seeing him, but then I looked at the tickets and I'm like, oh my God, my boy is making hella money. Like, I don't even know. Let's ask Siri. Hey Siri, how many seats are in the Chicago theater? Hey Siri, how many seats are inside of the Chicago theater? Let's see how many seats. 3,600. Wow. 3,600 in a multitude. I mean, the cheapest tickets are like, I can't breathe from that voice. Try it. You gotta, the trick to that voice is you have to constrict your throat, your breathing way. And when you pull it back like this is how you be talking. That's how you be talking. How you be talking. Yeah, I don't even be caring. It's so crazy. Like, a lot of people have different voices. Like, what's that, Meat Canyon or whatever? He has the really deep voice. I decided to go high with training my voice. I don't know what's cooler, but the deep voice is probably cooler. I mean, it's more masculine. Masculinity is cool. Masculinity is maybe one of the coolest things that you could possibly be. It's masculine. So what if these guys, they fly too? What if they're just like flapping? And they're just flapping away. And they have these big eyes. And so they're like kind of like bats, but they're cuter. And maybe they hang upside down too. Yeah, they hang out like this. Yeah, we just hook just like the smallest bit. And there's just like a whole row of them. Here, let's shrink these two down. So I can make some space for this drawing here. Yeah, what if they're just like hanging out on the top of a cave like this? Oh, come on. Give me that layer. Come on, YouTube, work with me. YouTube. Photoshop. Should be like this. Little vampires. But they don't eat mud. Yeah, and they just hook their little feet like this to the rocks. And you could do this kind of thing with the cave. Pretty typical. Kind of coming around like this. Did you fix your voice, Brent? Fix your voice so you could talk like this. All you gotta do is try real hard to be talking like this. Meet where I got the honey, see? Driving in my car, living like a star. Ice on my windows and my toes and I'm a Taurus. Yeah, check it. I would keep one if I flew into my house. Oh, really? Would you really keep a bat? No, I can't, dude. Bats are so ugly. I guess I could duplicate these. Let's duplicate these bad boys. I wouldn't do that, but if a bird flew in my house, I'd probably ask it to leave as well, actually. Yeah, I'd ask that bird to leave. I'd be like, bird, what are you doing here? What's going on, birdie? I just came up with this bad idea too, and it's going to go in the book. Absolutely. And then you'd have another character kind of come in from this part. Put a helmet on him. Never seen anything like this before. Yeah, like this. Yeah, it's like this. It's like this and like that and like a this and like that. You know, I was thinking about whether or not, you know what I mean, with AI and everything, if doing art is going to matter. And I actually think it will. And I think that the kind of art that matters is the art that people are pretty positive wasn't created by AI. But what if AI gets so good that it can? Well, maybe it can't, though. One of my friends predicted, he works in, he's like a computer programmer. And he was saying that he thinks that basically AI is going to create like a 3D kind of like world of media that's going to just be weird because it's influenced by itself, and it just kind of turns into this like really oversaturated market of like just kind of flooding the internet with this stuff. And I could see that. I've even seen a lot of YouTube videos with thumbnails that are clearly AI generated. I don't know if I have a good eye for it. You know, I'm a media guy myself. It's my work. It's my education and stuff. So I can tell. You know, I can't tell if it's AI. I could tell it might be AI. So, you know, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe one of them opens his eye. It's like, what the heck? Or maybe when they open their eyes, they start off like this. Yeah. They open their eyes and they're like, what the heck is that? Who are you? What the heck? And he comes into the cave like, what the heck? But if you're nice to bats, that's a nice, you're a nice guy. You should be nice to animals. And bats aren't bats like good for the ecosystem? Maybe just one eye for some of them. Put a little pebble here. Because nothing comes, like what happened, like in a cave, it's just like puddles of water, stuff like that. Just a bunch of rock formations, right? Just kind of in front of each other. Like this and like this. And then there we are. Hello, Mr. Strieber. Oh, I got something for you, McGruff. These are pillows that live in a cave. They're called Lycas. So there's that. But I want to show you something. What noise would it make if one of them fell? Oh, if one of them fell, it would be like... That's what it would sound like. So they would yell for a little bit. They were... And they might say G's, but it doesn't mean G's the same way it means for us, because obviously they don't know about our G's. But they'd be like... You nailed the sound. Yeah. I think that there's a little bit of a delay on the sound in me drawing. Yeah. Yeah, this is the way this cat would sound. It would be like... This is one of those cats that just kind of hangs out in front of the window and tries to call birds. So it's a normal cat. And he's like... Like, has that ever worked in the history of cats? I mean, what? It has to have worked once, and then it just ended up in the... Like a bird's been like, wait, what? What did you say? Hold on, guys. Wait a minute. I think this giant predator might need help. No, don't go, Steve. Don't go that way. Actually, I could probably... You want to see something silly? So I could probably animate that scene. Oh yeah, I'm about to do this right now. So it would be like, I guess that's not exactly how we do it. We would do it like this. Oh, no, I wouldn't do it. Where are we at here? Where's the bird? The bird's the word. So the cat would be like, the bird's like, what the fuck did you say about my feathers? What the fuck did you say about my feathers? What did you say? Oh, there's too much of a delay on the stream. I can't do it. I was going to animate him. You jerk! You're out of your mind. You're out of your element. What'd you say about my feathers? You son of a... You're gonna pay for this. You think you could talk to me that way? Look at the cat. He's not bothered at all. This is how animation's made. One step at a time. I feel like there's got to be somebody out there doing it like this. Just recording the screen and doing this, moving elements around like this. Yeah, yeah. Come on, you jerk. Kitty jerk. Yeah. That's fun. That's fun. Where are we at here? All right, let's go back to the Leicas. I'm going to post this kitty, the chunky Kiki. Now here's some cats. Where did the Leicas go? Oh, here they are. Yeah, so the Leicas, what I don't understand that Dino emoji. What is that supposed to mean? Ah, Dino. Or an older Joel. All right. Where are we at here? Oh, we have surpassed our hour. So, Brent, I'd like to thank you for coming and hanging out at the stream. I want to let you know. Oh, where did the rest of this go? No, that's not it. I just want to let you know that I stream every night, same time, Monday through Thursday from 8 to 9 o'clock. And on the weekends, which is not a scheduled time for me to stream, but I stream much longer on the weekends. So if you don't mind giving me a subscribe to my channel or giving me a follow, and we can hang out again in the future. What bit is it? What bit is it? Oh, I gotta watch it. I'm gonna react to my own thing.
What the fuck did you say about my fellas? What the fuck did you say about my fellas? What did you say? Oh, the bird's like, what the fuck did you say about my fellas?
Yeah, you're pretty good at clipping these out.
What did you say?
Yeah, cool, Brent. Thanks for coming out. Home to see you again. Yeah, cool. Yeah, McGruff, you're pretty good at clipping stuff. Yeah, I only do an hour during the week, Brent, because I have work during the week, or whatever. But on the weekends is really where the workload gets pulled in. So you're more than welcome to come and hang out then too. And you can see the entire production of this book. So I want to thank everyone for coming out, and anybody who's listening to the stream later on. I'd like to thank you for joining, and have a good night. And everyone, make sure to be good.